aka Vic, the producer, and joining me is Gilbert Manzano, sports staff writer for Sports Illustrated. I'm in Oklahoma. We're doing a special edition of this Rams and Seahawks preview because I'm getting married on Friday, and so we needed to push some things up. Gilbert, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Vic, but you're already struggling, on this live Tuesday
Yes,
special. I didn't even hear your intro. You're in Oklahoma. Maybe it's a bad Wi-Fi, but that's why
yeah,
we're doing this special preview. And that's, it's the beauty about live. You never know what mistakes could occur, but it's all natural. And we're here to talk about Rams versus Seahawks. And real quick, before we do that and kind of get into the some promos and things like that, and talk about our Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. How about us? How about the team here, House of Horns, getting to over 700 subscribers on the
yes,
YouTube channel? So that was pretty cool to see. And thank you to all the supporters of House of Horns that get us to 700 because it's not easy. I know some people blow up real quick on YouTube, but to get 700 subscribers, over a year, it's a grind. And it's a lot of work, and but it pays off when you have supporters that watch the show, comment, or part of the contest, and then the giveaway that we're doing here at House of Horns. So 700, big deal.
yeah, and shout out to everybody that's been, hitting us up. We had the bye week when we did the little video for the Carson Wentz signing, and people, have really responded well to it. Shout out to everybody that's been doing that. And just so you know what we got going on this episode for you guys, we have our regular stuff. We're gonna talk about news and notes, what's been going on since the bye. There's a lot to cover, Gilbert, with between the bye week and as we preview this matchup. We got our usual key matchups. We got our keys to the game, our player matchups, our Rams and Seahawks storylines, and then of course our game predictions, Gilbert. But before we get started with previewing this matchup, what can people look for on the Compas on the Beat network?
Yeah, a lot to check out on the Compas on the Beat Network. As you could tell on the logo right here on the bottom right. Yeah, right hand. There you go. Uh,
Yes.
I can't figure it out. But yeah, Compas on the Beat, the network. We have a main channel on Compas on the Beat YouTube, and we just, talk all NFL. We have banter. Dan Dago's on a heater right now, trying to brag about everything's gotten right. He finally got something right, but he's gonna let you know about it for a month. And yeah, and then Fernando joins us too, and we have a good time. And always check out what they do on What's Up Boats. Fernando and Dan and Dago. They break down every game involving the Chargers. And if you don't care, maybe you have Keenan Allen on your fantasy team. Keenan Allen has been, like I mentioned, a heater for like Dan. He's been on fire as well. And then you have Justin Herbert too as well. So check out what they do on What's Up Boat. Check out Compass on the Beat. Check out our Thursday show, Looking Ahead, which we won't have one this Thursday because Victor is getting married in Oklahoma, and I will be traveling to Oklahoma, so we can't do a Thursday show, but we'll try to get one in next week before Thanksgiving. So maybe not Thursday again, maybe on a Wednesday. We got to figure that out. Let's get through week 11 first, and we'll figure it out. But yeah, we have a lot of live shows too. We'll probably have a House of Horns of Seahawks versus Rams live episode for the post game show. And I say maybe because Victor, I think you work too hard. I think you should probably take a day off because you just got married, but it sounds like you're going to be on board for Sunday. But other than that, I think we have a giveaway we could announce or talk about in a bit. But for the promos on the network, that's about it.
Yeah, and then yeah, as you said, we got a lot going on. So thank you for letting everybody know what else they can check out. But you also have an engagement question, and this has to do with the fact that we kind of talked about it a little bit. We said, well, I think Sean McVay is going to be able to figure things out between once Cooper Cup comes back and Puka Nakua. Everything's going to mesh together, And as we've seen for the last couple of weeks, it has not. Especially these probably have been the last two worst games of Cooper Cup's career so far, Gilbert.
Yeah, that's the engagement question right there. And before I mention that, if you're watching this, maybe you're a little late to the live episode. Make sure to drop a comment. Whatever you want to talk about related to the Rams or the NFL. You have a question, a takeaway, a thought, whatever it is. Don't be shy. Get in the comments. That's why we're here on a live episode. We've never done a live preview. We've done a lot of live post games, but not the preview. So we're trying to get a feel for it. See if we'll keep doing it in the future. But if you're watching this, leave a comment. If you're watching the replay, leave a comment still, and we'll get to it eventually. But here we are for the comments. The engagement question of the week: what can the Rams do to get Cooper Cup more involved? Because I was just checking Cooper Cup's stat line the last 3 weeks, and it's been pretty quiet. And for a guy who makes a lot of money and is the number one wide receiver on the team and one of the top wide receivers in the NFL, like I'm seeing CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson, and Tyreek Hill, and AJ Brown all line it up. Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Where has Cooper Cup been? I want to see Cooper Cup get more involved. So that is a question for you, the listeners and viewers of House of Horns. What can the Rams do to get Cooper Cup more involved? Because I don't think it's Cup's fault. The system, the offense, the play caller, the quarterback, who knows? But give me your ideas of what they can do to get Cooper Cup the ball more. Let me know in the comments.
And then that's a good a way to, get this rolling, Gilbert, because there's been a lot of frustration from Ram fans the last couple of weeks, and a lot of it has been directed at Sean McVay. You even had the great Samuel L. Jackson going to
Oh,
Twitter
yeah.
and asking, "Do we need to start talking about the head coach?" And there was a lot of banter there with people. No, nobody wants Sean McVay to get, fired, but there is you should ask the question about, the criticism, I should say, and it's valid just because of what we've seen the last couple of weeks, Gilbert. But let's get to news and notes, Gilbert. Um,
Wait, one more thing. We have the
yeah,
just like I do the mention. We have the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway contest later on in the show. Stick around if you're watching this. It could be 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. But we're gonna drop keywords for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. If you're new to the program here, let me give you a quick rundown how it works. Every week we have a show like this one, the preview, and we'll drop keywords. All you have to do when the keywords come out, comment under the video with the keywords, and then you're locked in for one entry for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. The whole point of this is for us to get to 1,000 subscribers quicker. We're so antsy. We're excited about 700, but we want to get to 1,000 already. That's like a big milestone here in the YouTube. So we get to 1,000. The faster we get to 1,000, the faster we give away the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. So for the whole season, I've been tracking people who watch the show, get the keywords, comment, and then I'll give them one entry. And then you can get another entry. I know it's complicated. If you send me an email, pull up the email on the rundown here. For the audio listener, it's Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com, Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com. Just give me the time and the keywords, and I'll give you 2 entries for the email. I know it's an extra step, but you get an advantage there. And stick around, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we'll drop the keywords for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway.
Yeah, and I'll say this, Gilbert. There's two people that are consistently in the comments, making sure that they're getting, their entries in. So shout out to you guys. I know you guys are always watching. So all right, Gilbert, let's go ahead and get to news and notes. I'll keep this quickly since we're recording on a Tuesday. We've gotten some news in terms of the injuries, and of course, the big one has to do with Matthew Stafford. And according to Sean McVay on Monday, the Rams are preparing and expecting Matthew Stafford to return to practice this week. He was able to throw and grip the ball during individual practice. So, are you feeling good, Gilbert, that he plays on Sunday?
Yeah, he was gripping the ball, and that was the biggest step there. And I think I was a little worried last week, or when we did the Carson Wentz episode, that Justin Fields has missed like 4 games. He had the same injury, a thumb injury, and he can't even play. I'm like, what if it takes longer for Stafford? What is the same amount of time? But when Sean McVay spoke to the beat reporters on Monday, he expressed optimism. Like I don't think even like, expressed it. It was more like, yeah, we want him to play. He's gonna play. He seems ready. Everything is a go. So it seems like Stafford is good to go, and that's big. I know the offense. We've been crapping on it for a month now, but it makes such a difference to have Stafford in there. And maybe this bye week helped out with the hip injury too, because ever since he got the hip injury in
Yep.
Indianapolis, there you go. He hasn't been as good, and then you got the thumb injury, so it was starting to add up. So maybe that week off could help him out. But yeah, it looks like the green light for Stafford to play, and that's gonna be huge for a big time NFC West showdown in LA.
Yeah, and then the other thing was, they kind of been, they're starting to run into the same problem they had last season with their offensive line. So they're also expecting right tackle Rob Havenstein to return this week. It sounds like, and also inside linebacker Ernest Jones. So some good news on the injury front, and then a couple more things, Gilbert. Before I ask you a question, you also have, and I thought this injury kind of went under the radar, and that was Bobby Brown going on injury reserve. I think he's kind of been missed. He's a big guy who clocks up the middle of that defensive line, and then having him back, I don't know if they opened up the window. We'll see if he's back on Sunday. And the same thing with a guy who got traded for Jalen Ramsey. We keep
Oh yeah.
waiting to see him play out there, and that's tight end Hunter Long. He's another one who's able to return. And then the last thing, Gilbert, the Rams have signed Keir Thomas to the active roster. So you also have that in terms of player transactions, and then also injuries. And I was gonna ask you how, in terms of the Rob Hammerstein, him returning, how big is that, especially if you have Matthew Stafford back on Sunday?
Yeah, that was huge too when I think he missed the Cowboys game and the Packers game. So
Yes, with
we
the
all
Cavs.
saw how that turned out in that game. I think they got 3 points in Green Bay. They got 20 in Dallas, but a lot of it was garbage time. So they weren't able to get a flow offensively. So having Rob Havenstein is huge, and he's gonna face. I know they don't have like a premier edge rusher because they lost Uchenna Nwosu, but they still got a lot of pressure inside with Draymond Jones, Leonard Williams who could play on the outside a little bit. Boye Mafe actually is a guy who's coming up for the
Yeah, I
Seahawks,
think
second year.
hasn't he had a sack in every game this season, or he's
You
on
might
a
be
streak?
right.
I think. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but he's been tearing it up, and he was a second round pick last year, so
Yep.
he kind of came on pretty slowly his rookie year, and then he just kind of picked it up. I know they have a rookie this year too named Derek Hall, same situation, a second round pick. He hasn't been, on a tear like Boye Mafe, but that tells you have a lot of guys on the defensive front. So, and then also Bobby Wagner, we all know he knows how to pressure the quarterback, so it's huge to have that. And then to go off with the Bobby Brown thing, Victor, maybe I haven't been keeping too much tabs on it, but the Rams haven't been good against the run. Like they've been decent against the pass, but we know that the Seahawks like to run the football with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. So to get your big nose tackle in there to help out, maybe that's when the wheels fell off the last month he's been out because they were pretty solid before that. So I was like, oh man, they're averaging I think I saw 122 yards per game rushing, and they're kind of at the bottom. I'm like, oh okay, I had no idea. Okay, so that's gonna be huge to get them back too, and then another one more thing for people who might be wondering, I think it was last year, the IR rule was like you don't have to miss 4 games, you just have to miss 4 weeks. So I thought maybe Kyron Williams would come back with the bye week, but apparently the rules changed again. Maybe I missed it, and now he has to miss
Yeah,
four
I saw
games.
that.
So he doesn't have to. He won't be able to come back until next week, the Cardinals
So,
game in week 12. So I was like, oh, that's a bummer right there.
yeah, I mean, and we'll get into our keys to the game, because I think that's a huge thing too. Like, I know that he's also been a big piece that's been missing for them, in terms of the offense. And you've been saying that for a while now. As you pointed out with the Matthew Stafford injury, same thing with the running game. I think he's been the key to their offense. I know we talk about Puka Nakua and how great he's been this season, but I think, not having Kyron Williams has been a big thing for this offense. And, maybe that's the reason that Cooper Cup has struggled as well, because I think he fed a lot from what Kyron Williams did running the ball. And then the last thing, Gilbert, before we get to our Rams and Seahawks storylines, I just want to say that the Rams announced that they're moving their practice headquarters to Woodland Hills ahead of the 2024 season. So it sounds like they won't have they'll have training camp at UC Irvine, and then eventually, they're during the season, they're gonna move to Woodland Hills, which is a little closer than for us who live in the San Fernando Valley than Thousand Oaks. So for a lot of the people, they'll be closer closer to the state to SoFi. It'll be a shorter drive. So I think that's a good thing, and it's good to see that they're finally getting their own facility because I think the Chargers are also moving into their own facility, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think the Chargers one is gonna be fully built next year. But what the Rams are gonna do is, like, they're gonna be building it next year, but it won't be ready for a couple of years, I'm assuming. But they're gonna have the temporary site, so pick up the trailers that they have in TO and move with the Woodland Hills. So I'm sure the players are gonna be excited for that because, like Thousand Oaks is not really LA. Woodland Hills feels more like, I know you're still kind of out, but you're more like in the LA area. Technically it's LA County too, and Thousand Oaks is Ventura County. So I'm sure that, not having to drive up that 101 and traffic is going to be great for the players too. But it's kind of like one of those things, like it's about time. Like, they've been in LA since 2016. I know real estate is hard to come by in the LA area, and I know Stan Kroenke made a lot of money doing that, so he has an eye for good investments. And maybe he was waiting it out to see when it would be a good time. Maybe it was never a good time, because if you're trying to buy real estate right now, the inflation is insane. But maybe he got a deal before everything skyrocketed. So I think he's had the land for maybe over a year now, and so I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah, it definitely wasn't as bad as it is today. But he has the money; he should not worry about that. And I was just trying to, make an excuse for why it's taking so long. But who knows? I like the location. I think that's kind of there's like a huge shopping center in front of is it the
Yeah,
Topanga?
it
What?
used to be for those who know the area, that was where the old Woodland Hills Mall was at.
Yeah,
It was an indoor mall, so it's gonna be right in that vicinity. So and then the other thing too was the Dodgers were actually looking to have a minor league team there before the Rams decided to move their facilities there, and then they were told no because of the Angels, because since the Angels have, I don't know why, have territorial rights in Los Angeles. They vetoed it and they were like, "No, we're not allowing you guys." So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There was two teams fighting for that little area, and the Rams are going to be able to move into that facility. So
yeah.
that'll be kind of cool for that area.
And it's cool that, like, I feel like every LA team, well, besides I guess the baseball ones, but the hockey teams, the NBA teams, and now the Chargers are all in El Segundo. So
Yeah.
I'm like, why is everybody hanging around over there? So it's kind of cool. Maybe the Rams, okay, let's not be followers here and hang out in the valley. And that's pretty cool for the people in the valley. Like, maybe when training camp gets there, and having a lot of people from the nearby cities to get there, because Orange County is a drive, and I'm sure people from Orange County are going to be bummed about it. But that's going to be pretty cool for the valley out here.
Yeah, and they're building. There's a lot there for people to do. I mean, there's a new mall, like I said. Now it's an outdoor mall, so they're right in the middle of things, and it's easier for you to kind of move if you're driving instead of having to go all the way to, as you talked about, Thousand Oaks. So for those Ram fans in Orange County, it'll be a little easier for you to get out there if you decide to go, especially for a training camp. I know that, a lot of people like going to UC Irvine, but I think a lot of people that live on this side of town in LA will enjoy it, and it might lead to more fans too. You can,
Yeah,
I see more billboards and stuff like that on in the San Fernando Valley for the Rams. So, maybe
yeah.
they can find something there, especially, as now that they've moved, they need to attract more of a fan base. But let's get to our Rams and Seahawks storylines, and we'll have you start off with the Seahawks, Gilbert.
Yeah, I know there wasn't, again, a lot of people didn't watch, but the Seahawks and the Commanders was actually pretty exciting for the last quarter. It was pretty boring for the first three, and I was actually at SoFi Stadium for Chargers Lions, so I got really invested in that game. So I kind of missed the ending of that one. I'm like, I look at the replay and the highlights. I'm like, what the heck happened here? And Geno Smith, I don't know, broke his funk. He actually didn't even commit a turnover. Before that, he had 8 turnovers combined in 4 games. So play clean football, and he just lit it up. And it was a weird matchup between Sam Howell and Geno Smith, but it was a fun matchup, two good quarterbacks. And so for the I guess the good, or maybe bad for Rams fans, the good for a Seahawks fan, maybe Geno turned the corner, because he has not been as good as last year. Like, that was a kind of a major problem with the turnovers. And then Pete Carroll was starting to lose patience with him. He's like, yeah, Gino has to cut it down, and he used to be the number one supporter of Gino because everybody was criticizing, why are you going with Gino? Why are you going with Gino? And now it's kind of wavering, but he had a bounce back performance. The thing I'm worried about is I get Sam Howell is leading the league in passing yards, but when you have a duo like Devin Witherspoon and Rick Woolen, and you have Bobby Wagner and all the guys I mentioned on defense in front, and he lights you up like that, like when is the Seahawks even going to put it together? They have so much talent. They're always up and down. They got crushed by the Ravens not too long ago. So I see the Seahawks on paper, and they're loaded in every position, and it's like they're so inconsistent and they can't figure it out. So I know they're better from that week one whooping they got from the Rams in Seattle, but it could be a game maybe the Rams catch them because they can't get in sync here, and we're all expecting the Seahawks to do something in the playoffs because of their talent and their roster, but they're not that team yet. Like they're definitely a level below, the 49ers and the Eagles, maybe even the Lions. I know they beat the Lions, but the Lions are probably clicking a little faster than the Seahawks. So in terms of that, Gino turned the corner, but the defense, man, I got to see more from them.
Yeah, and when we were previewing the first matchup between these teams, right before the beginning of the season, I talked about it. I thought, I jumped on the Seahawks bandwagon during the off season, and I really liked their last two draft classes, the one last year and then the one this season. But I continue to see the same problems, Gilbert. And you can run on this defense. And, I really like their secondary. You have Jamal Adams is back. You have talent on this team, and they just can't bring it together. And also the schedule, I figure was gonna catch up to when when you surprise teams when you weren't supposed to be good last season because it was supposed to be a rebuilding year, and then they made the playoffs. It caught some teams by surprise, and now this season, you're thinking, okay, now they're gonna get team's best shot. And then even at home, they've been a great 12. They relied on the 12 man up at Lumen Stadium, and as you talked about, I saw that fourth quarter, and I was just couldn't understand how the Commanders were moving the ball on them up and down. And it's been one of the things. The offensively, I'm not worried about the Seahawks. It's their defense. If you're a Seahawks fan, it has to be. You have to wonder, like, why can't they put this together? And I think for the Rams, they have to take advantage of, what they did in that first game. Of course, the Seahawks are going to come in looking for a revenge game in this game, and hoping to get the Rams back for what they did to them in that first game of the season.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Seahawks when they got picked apart, not picked apart, but they couldn't stop the run against the Rams when Kyrie Williams was going. They actually got better, and like their numbers were not that bad with the Russian defense. So that kind of like narrative died down a bit. That obviously when they played the Ravens, it caught them up again. So maybe when they play good teams, I know how to run the ball, they get exposed, and then maybe there's some weeks where they get by. But the thing that's supposed to be kind of like their strength is the secondary, and that has not occurred here. And the reason you go out and you draft Devin Witherspoon is because number 5 overall, which is a high draft pick, because you had visions of like, okay, Witherspoon and Woolen defending guys like Cooper Cup and Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, like people are over there trying to like zag, and they're trying to defend them by okay, go. You're getting the wide receivers. We're gonna get the cornerbacks. We're gonna match you that way, and that just hasn't been the case. And they invested 2 first round picks, and Jamal Adams always hurt, and he finally came back, and it's kind of been slow, you know. And then they added some more talent to the secondary, but and they have guys like there's like a guy named Michael Jackson and Trey, and I think Trey Brown, I think it is. We're supposed to be good, cornerback pieces, so they have depth too, and it hasn't been working. Actually, another guy too, Kobe Bryant. Speaking of
Yeah,
good
I was
names,
gonna
Michael
say Kobe
Jackson, Kobe
Bryant.
Bryant.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of pieces, and like, okay, let's see what they do. If Stafford is healthy, hopefully, and he's kind of like the old Stafford, like, can he do something with Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua? Like, I know they're not Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, but like, if Stafford could light them up at SoFi, like, what makes you think they could beat the 49ers? So this could be a pretty big test. long term, and I'm not trying to write off the Rams yet. 'Cause I know they're 3-6, but the wild card is kind of fading with the Vikings winning every single week. But again, you got to be competitive, and I just want to see what they do. We're going to talk about matchups in a bit, but the secondary has been very disappointing. But individually, Devin Witherspoon has a case to be defensive rookie of the year. So a lot of it just doesn't make sense with this team.
Yeah, and it's like that's why I keep saying it's like why can this team put it together? And maybe it's the fact that they're a young team, and then you have a quarterback in Geno Smith who is still, you know, I'm not gonna say he deserves his props for what he did last season, but I think at the same time, you know what you're getting from Geno Smith. He was a great story. He was a comeback player of the year last season and well deserved. And I just think there's certain limitations that you're gonna have with him, and you're gonna live and die with what he can and can do. And that's part of the problem. I don't think they're gonna move on from him just because he's on a good deal, honestly. And if they can find, their future quarterback in that process of having him, they'll do that. But I think that's the biggest thing for Seahawks fans is figuring out why can this team put it together. And I think for Rams, for the Rams and Ram fans, it's like, well, we hope you guys don't get it together this week because and I don't want to say I was gonna say they might be one of the most disrespected first place teams in the league right now, just because I don't think people like if you think about it and you look at the standings and you say, oh well, the Seahawks are in first place and the 49ers are in, you would think the 49ers would be in first place, but they're not. But that's just the way
Aren't
it
they
is right
tied,
now.
I think, or who has a tiebreaker right now?
They have they have the tiebreaker, I think. I don't know how, but and they still have to play each other twice,
Yeah.
so
Well,
they'll
yeah, they're
decide
tied
it
right
down.
now. They're both 6-3. And
Yeah,
I just saw right now. I think the 49ers have a tiebreaker. I don't know how because a couple of weeks ago
yeah.
the Seahawks had it. But that's the thing too. Like they haven't even played the 49ers once yet, and that's kind of concerning too.
Yeah. But and then moving over to the Rams, I think my storyline for them is, do you want to be stuck in the middle? And as we've talked about it, we've said, what do you want? I know I've already seen a lot of fans saying, well, let's just, tank the rest of the season. Let's try to get a right now they would have the number 6 pick. So do you want to continue to lose while you see what you have? That a lot of these draft picks have hit. So do you just want to continue to be competitive but lose? And that's the hardest thing too, is like you want your team to win, but at the same time, what's going to make this franchise better next season, especially when you have, around 60, a little bit over 60 million to be in the cap to be able to spend during the off season. You get a higher pick. That means you can fight for the first time in what 2017 have a first round pick. So, that's I think the biggest storyline right now. As the Rams come out of this bye is, do you want to be stuck in the middle, or do you just say, you know what, we want to be competitive and lose as we do so?
Yeah, last week I had mock drafts finally for the Rams. It's gotten to the point. Okay,
I've
let's
seen
see
them
what they
already.
get right now. And it's funny because I think the Lions had the no, it was it yeah, the Lions had the Rams pick, which was number 5. So they're kind of that same range as last year. They would have kept the pick. But if you're saying they're number 6 right now, like, so let's assume Caleb Williams, Drake May, that's 2 quarterbacks right there gone, and Marvin Harrison Jr. another one, that's 3. The tight end from Georgia is 4, and then you got the 2 really good tackles. So you might get one of those tackles, and I think you've been the one saying go get the tackle. So they
Yes.
got to kind of get in that 6 range to get like a difference maker. Then after that, it's kind of like a crapshoot. I know there's the cornerback Kool Aid, by the way. I just remember the name Kool Aid from
Yeah.
Alabama. And there's also a pretty good edge rusher, but it's not like a for sure bona fide stud edge rusher too. But it's the guys I mentioned, the 2 left tackles, Bowers from Georgia, Marvin Harrison Jr., and then May and Caleb Williams. So you kind of get those top 6, you might get a game changer.
Yeah,
So
they got to be in that vicinity, Gilbert. I think if you're like I said, you don't want to be stuck in the middle. You want to be able to lose enough games to be in that top five because you want to be. I think it's vital that you get one of those left tackles.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people are like, yeah, let's already move on from Stafford, but it gives you a chance to be able, like, hey, that's the one thing if you want to start off with the trenches, and then start, you have Puka Nakua, you found him in the fourth round, on the late in the draft. You have Cooper Cup, so you have skill players. I think you need to take care of that offensive line if
yeah.
that's the way you go.
The only way I feel like you don't do it if it's Drake May or Caleb Williams, but the
Yes.
way the Giants have been playing and then the
Yeah.
Panthers by the way of the Bears, like that's kind of set for 1 and 2. And then and the Cardinals are gonna try to win now because of Kyler Murray, who yeah, he has control to kind of change the fate of I guess his job. Like if he starts winning games for the Cardinals, like they're kind of out of the quarterback range. And the thing too, Vic, if like first of all, if you're watching the live here, don't be shy. Give a comment if you want the Rams to get a higher draft pick or you want them to compete. Let me know in the comments. Don't be shy here. That's why we're doing it live to get some engagement going. But if they don't fall in that top six range, that could be brutal. And then definitely don't chase a quarterback after those 2 guys because nobody could decide it's gonna be the guy from Michigan or the guy from Texas or the guy from Oregon or Washington or Colorado. I'm like, that's a red flag. You can't figure out who's the number 3 quarterback here. Maybe you can wanna trust your scouting department, you go for it. But I'm with you, man. Maybe find a different area to fill and give Stafford 1 more year. If it's not May or Williams, you're kind of reaching there. But again, those top 6 picks are probably the ones that are for sure game changers. I don't know how I feel about a tight end. We've seen this movie before where tight ends are supposed to kind of be Kyle Pitts right there. TJ Hawkinson finally broke out, but he wasn't like the top 10 pick we all imagine. Uh, there's other guys that feel like the tight end spot's gonna do well, and they just don't really do anything. It's like you don't.
Yeah, I
How many
I don't
coaches are
trust
out
top
there?
10. I don't tr I've told you this before. Like, I used to follow the draft, like, closely, and I just remember, look, a top 10 tight ends never work out. Like, it just, if you told me if you give me a name, I'll be like, "Okay, yeah, maybe that guy." But you go back like Vernon Davis, I mean, Ricky Dudley. I can give you so many names. There was a Kyle Brady. There's been so many names out there where, and now you look back and you're like, yeah, you shouldn't have taken a tight end in the top 10. And I don't
Look at
trust the
Kelsey
tight
and
end.
Kittle, they were mid-round guys or
Yeah, they
second
were
or
all
third round
middle
guys.
round
Yeah,
picks. Yeah. Sam
yeah,
Laporta,
yeah.
that's why yeah, a lot of those guys that are hitting lately, they're all mid-round guys. Like, and I'm not saying you can find one in the first round. I just wouldn't spend a top 10 pick because they just don't work out. And so,
And this
yeah,
team has a lot of holes, especially defensively. I know, like I
yes,
mentioned, like, from what I've been reading recently, I'm not a draft expert, I won't say that,
me
but
neither.
after the top 6, like, this you don't know who's gonna be a real legit guy, but that's where you trust your scouting department, and this team needs a cornerback, they need edge rushers, so go if you don't get the left tackles that you want, go get defensive help. And instead of, maybe that tight end who people are really in love with because that's the scary part. The tight ends have not worked out. And like, do you really need one? I know this one can block, he could catch and do everything, could be a game changer too. But I think maybe focus on the defense. But we're probably getting ahead of ourselves with the draft
I
talk
know.
here. But let's give the Rams 1 more week against the Seahawks to see what
Yeah.
happens.
Well,
But
that
they
was
are
the
in the middle of
question,
that road
Gilbert,
though.
is figuring out whether they want to be stuck in the middle, or do they want, be able to get be competitive but lose games, so that way they get one of those top five, top six picks. But let's go ahead and move on to our player matchups for this Rams and Seahawks. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I just got an easy one, and it kind of goes off of the engagement question. Like, all right, Cooper Cup, man, you got to do something here. And again, it's not your fault. You need the ball to be thrown your way. And I'm the one that complain all the time. Why is Cooper Cup getting force fed here, spread the ball around? But when your offense can't score more than 20 points, or like, what do they have? 3 in Green Bay. They got 20 mostly garbage points in Dallas, 14 against the Eagles. Like the last time they did anything offensively was a Cardinals game, and that was the last time you had Kyron Williams. A coincidence? I think not. And that was the last time that Cooper Cup actually had 100 receiving yards in a game. So, just find a way to get them involved. Like, you're not the Raiders or the Jets here. When I was watching Sunday Night Football, we're like, they got to get Devontae Adams involved. They got to get Garrett Wilson involved. It's kind of like I think I wrote in my story like you got two Ferraris right here, and nobody knows how to drive the damn thing. It's like you're trying to
Like
throw it to them, and even when like Devontae's getting these spectacular catches, it goes nowhere because they don't have a passing game. And then obviously you run the football with Josh Jacobs and it works out. But I'm just trying to say like this is not the same situation for the Rams. Like you have Sean McVay calling the plays. Like you're supposed to be this offensive genius. Can we find a creative way to get the ball to Cooper Kupp without having to be obvious and force feed him like Devontae and Garrett Wilson did on Sunday Night Football? So, you know, Cooper Kupp is very talented, and you can't go 3 or 4 games with it being this quiet if you're a superstar. So I know he has injuries. I know the offensive line's been banged up, but and I know he's playing a tough matchup with Rick Woolen and Devin Witherspoon, but like Sam Howell and Scary Terry did it. Your boy Jahan Dotson did it.
yeah.
Guys like that. So go put up some points, and if you want to force feed, Cooper Cup, do it. But like you could be creative. Like you don't have to make it obvious either.
Yeah, and I like this matchup. I think part of the problem too, Gilbert. I mean, I understood the last game against the Packers because you didn't have Matthew Stafford. But even before that, I mean, they were facing like really good pass rushers in, whether it was the Steelers, the Cowboys, you know, and that has an effect on your offense. I'm not expecting the Seahawks to, they're not on that level, with those teams. And if you have a healthy Matthew Stafford, I'm with you. You should be able. I'm expecting a big game out of Cooper Cup. I think, if anything, I can pretty much guarantee that Sean McVay is gonna, feed Cooper Cup in this game, because we know what happens. You talked about it. You cover the NFL. All 32 things, and we saw what happened with CD Lamb. When CD Lamb said something, they started feeding him, and not Cooper Cup isn't going to say anything, but we know what the stats are for those last two games, and Sean McVay sees that, and I'm sure he's going to say, you know what, I need to make sure that I feed Cooper Cup in this game. So I'm with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. You got to find the way to get them going and get creative. But I don't know because I know the Geno Smith we were talking about, but if they do something and they get score points in a hurry and you're gonna be falling behind and you're being one dimensional, it's not gonna be good luck.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go for my player matchup, Gilbert. I'm gonna go to the other side, and I went with the Kilo Witherspoon, and I'm guessing he's gonna be on DK Metcalf, but or whoever it is that he's up against, whether it's Tyler Lockett or Jackson and Jigba. He's been their best corner this season. We're still waiting to see what happens with Kobe Durant. Um, and so for me, it's whoever Akilo Witherspoon is on. I like the matchup. DK Metcalf has been kind of a disappointment this season, and I don't know if it's because more there's been more of a priority of attention on him, or Geno Smith has this, been spreading the ball more to because they have really good weapons. And so, but that's my player matchup, Gilbert, just because, and we saw Kilo Witherspoon have an interception against the Seahawks, right? And where am I? Or he had a really good game. I don't know if he had a
Yeah,
interception in that game. Now I'm questioning myself here.
yeah. I feel like the one he had was at a home game, so I don't know which game it was, but yeah, he's been playing well in the last, well, I guess this season here. But one thing that's gonna be tough to kind of gauge with the Seahawks, like I mentioned, the Geno roller coaster, like he was so inconsistent. Like he was trying to like find guy to get involved. They weren't spreading the ball around like they did last year, and it was kind of a struggle. But man, that second half, it got going. They got the rookie involved. They got DK Metcalf involved. You know, he was kind of giving them jump balls and he was, out muscling defenders. And then Tyler Lockett, man, going down the field using his speed, like everybody got going in that game. So if that kind of transitions into the LA game, that's gonna be hard. Like you need DBs to help out a Kilo Witherspoon, and like who's he gonna defend? Who's he gonna guard? Like these guys, the reason why everybody's so excited for the Seahawks, like they might have the most versatile wide receiver core in the NFL. You got the route runner and Jackson Smith and Jigba, the speedster entire Lockett, and then the physical jump ball guy in DK Metcalf. So if they're clicking, it could be a problem.
We
Yeah,
have a
comment.
comment from Onyx 2626. He's saying Stafford healthy is like saying Anthony Davis is playing tonight. And yes, that is
Yeah, good one.
pretty spot on, As someone who follows the Lakers, I can tell you that that is really spot on there, Onyx. Honestly, yeah, like
And even if it
you're
does play, it's like, oh, it's gonna be like 30 or 40% of who he is.
yeah. Yeah, that is true. All right, Gilbert. So we have a Puka Nakua jersey giveaway, as you mentioned earlier in the app in the show. So give people the jersey giveaway keyword so they know what they need to do to be able to win or have an extra entry for this Puka Nakua jersey.
Yeah, and if you're watching, do the keyword giveaway right now. Comment, and we'll lock you down. But yeah, for the Puka and Quill jersey giveaway, it's this one's about you, Victor, and your fiance,
Thank you.
Megan. Just type in "Congrats, Vic and Megan." That's it. If you're on the audio, get to YouTube video and comment "Congrats, Victor and Megan." And even if you don't want the Puka and Quill jersey giveaway and you want to say "Congrats to Victor and Megan," go ahead and do it in the comments. That'd be nice for them to see. And like we mentioned in the top of the show, Victor's getting married in Oklahoma this week. So make sure to give him a proper congrats in the comments. And maybe you could win a Puka Nakua jersey. And again, if you comment with that and then send me an email at Gilberto at
I got you.
composonbeat.com. Give me the time of the keywords that we dropped it. And you get 2 entries to the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. And that's the email right here. GILBRTO at compasonthebeat.com.
There you go, guys. Pretty easy. I mean, if you know what's going on in my life, you'll be able to get a jersey giveaway keyword there. It should be pretty easy. So, thank you guys for doing that. All right, Gilbert, let's go ahead and get to our keys to the game. What do you got for us?
Yeah, when the Seahawks are not playing well, that means Geno Smith is committing turnovers. So I know he had a clean game against the Commanders, but go back to forcing him to make an interception, holding the ball too long for maybe a fumble, strip sack, whatever it is. This guy had 8 total turnovers in a 4 game span. Make him do that again. Don't let him get comfortable and get everybody going. But Victor, I looked it up right now. Like the Rams only have 8 takeaways this season. They're like one of the worst teams in the NFL with takeaways. So again, this defense is about scheme and being well coached, not about talent and playmakers. But if you want to steal a victory, man, go get some takeaways and force Geno into fumbles and interceptions because 8 ain't gonna cut it, man. So and I think maybe a bunch of teams were tied with 7, which that's the lowest in the NFL, 7 takeaways, and 8 is not that much ahead. So go maybe get 3 or 4. I just saw the Bills have 4 turnovers. Why can't the Seahawks have 4 this Sunday against the Rams?
Yeah, and going off of that too, Gilbert, you want a good showing at home. I feel like they haven't put together a really good four-quarter game at home. And I think Ram fans deserve a good game from their team. They haven't had it at home. They played well on the road. I don't think they even have a win as far no, they
They
did. They
beat the
beat the
Cardinals.
Cardinals at home. So yeah, like do it against a divisional opponent, and I like this too. Like you if you're able to turn the ball over, get your defense, get your crowd involved by turning, getting, forcing some turnovers on defense, and we've talked about how good Raheem Morris has been this season for this defense because a lot of people didn't expect a lot from it, but yeah, the turnovers haven't been there, but they've been solid. They're not the reason they've lost 6 games this season. And now I like that. Hey, start getting these teams to turn the ball over. So, and then for me, Gilbert, I'm gonna go back to something we talked about. And it's gonna be running the ball for me, whether it's Freeman or it's Henderson. Um, you get they're not gonna get Kyron Williams. We saw in that first game it was Cam Akers and it was Kyron Williams. Cam Akers probably I didn't check, but I remember this very vividly. I think he had about 1 or 2 yards a carry. He ran the ball for he got about 20 carries, and then Kyron Williams, that was the one where he had the 2 touchdowns. And I think you're gonna have to do the same thing you did in that game. you should be able to. You beat this team. You went up to Seattle and beat this team. You should be able to do the same thing against them by running the ball, and then you set up Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua. Like we haven't seen the two of them have a big game together, and I think this is the game where you can do it if you're able to run the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a big believer in Royce Freeman and Daryl Henderson, but it could be something where it's the opposite of it, where like maybe you establish the pass first, and then when you want to be a closer or you want to get a longer drive, then you start kind of feeding the running backs. Maybe it's the opposite, but you're right. Regardless though of how you want to approach it, you need a running game. You can't be one dimensional and have players tee off on Stafford and I guess the offensive line has been better than this year than last year, but they haven't been great, especially the left tackle situation. Rob Havenstein coming back from an injury, so the more you can do in the ground game, the better for everybody. So uh, I like that too. I just don't know how much I believe in Royce Freeman and Daryl Henderson because I actually forgot who the other back was in Week 1, and you reminded me, Cam Akers.
Yeah, yeah, and just Johnny G is replying to Onyx saying McVay never let Stafford to heal, and yeah, like I mean, but that was the thing. They didn't pick up a backup quarterback, and that's why we talked about the Wentz signing and how big it is, like, and why we were critical of them not going out and signing a true backup, and it cost them there by having Brett Rippon um against the Packers, and so we'll see. Like now they have an average backup now that you can use, and I now there won't be as much criticism if Stafford gets hurt again. At least you have someone in Carson Wentz who has started games and has been decent, and so yeah.
I know people are probably excited to watch Carson Wentz, and I don't know if people were getting on me from North Dakota State because like they didn't like my analysis of Carson Wentz when he was with the Commanders and the Colts. Like he wasn't that great, but maybe with a new coach and a new situation in LA, maybe Carson Wentz does something, and it might get to a point, Vic, where like, okay, Stafford's not doing it or he's hurt. Like, let's see Carson, let's see what he has. So it could. I would not be surprised if we get to that point.
I
But
uh,
off of the comment is like like when Stafford bangs his hand on a helmet, and then they go ask him to go catch a ball. It's kind of to the point to the comment like they don't even let this guy heal in games or keep him out of harm's way. But I think Stafford has something to say with that. 'Cause like again, he's a tough sob from Detroit to LA, and I think it was it last year. I think he was coming back from a concussion. Then he gets hurt and he can't feel his legs in New Orleans. Like it was just a bad scene. So sometimes he kind of beats himself up because he wants to come back and be a gamer. But you got to protect this guy too at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I'm all for, hey, being a warrior out there, and hey, you're the leader of this team, and I understand all that. But now you have, I'm with you on the whole Carson Wentz thing. If they decide, you know what, hey, we don't want you to get hurt the rest of the season, as in let's just heal you up and let Carson Wentz see what they have in him, kind of like what we saw with Maker Mayfield. I mean, that was a different situation, of course, but hey, it gave Baker Mayfield a chance to be able to kind of prove himself, and then he got a good contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So maybe we see the same thing happen here with Carson Wentz. But as of right now, it's looking like Stafford's going to play on Sunday. So we'll see what happens the rest of the season. All right, Gilbert. We are on to our betting spotlight. The Rams are 2.5 point underdogs, and the over under is 44 and a half. What's the right side of this line?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not more for the
Same.
underdog role there, 2.5. But I guess you get 3 for being at home, so it's like kind of like 5.5 maybe.
Yeah.
But I think because the Rams won Week 1, it's a divisional rival. The Seahawks have been inconsistent. I guess the more I think about it, the more okay. I guess I could see it here. Um, and then like it's kind of tough too because like even if it's close, like they don't want you to be like, okay, we'll go back the Rams for +3 because they could probably cover that. 2.5 is kind of like maybe I go with the Seahawks, but then it's like the Seahawks are the road team. Do you really want to take that? So it's all kind of mind games. I think that the 2.5
Yeah.
is a mind games right there. But the over under I saw recently somewhere else. I think it's probably the SI Sportsbook because that's where I work. They have 46.5. I'm like, I'm definitely taking the under on 46.
Under, yeah, of
44
course.
makes me think a little bit, but I think I still will go under on the 44.5 just because the Rams can't really score, and then the Rams, know the Seahawks very well. That maybe the defense can hold it down for a bit.
Yeah, even I'm pretty sure. I'm going back in my mind right now and thinking about that first game, and the it was they hit the under on that one as well, and that was with the Rams scoring a bunch of points, and then they held the Seahawks to 12 yards total in the second half, and they still couldn't hit the over on that in that day on that game too. And I like the Rams in that game. I like the spread in that game. But you're right. I think this looks like a trap because I was like, if this was like Rams were like 4.5, 5, I would have taken the Rams on the. I just think it's a trap for people because I remember when it was Rams minus 3 against the Steelers. I was like, okay, I'm gonna jump on that. It's just hard for me, with the way this line looks. I it's like you said, it's a trap, man. So I'd stay away if I was a betting man in this on this line. So, but let's get to our game predictions, Gilbert. What do you got? I'm interested to see how you go because I honestly I don't know where I'm gonna go. Maybe I'm waiting for you to say and change my mind or kind
Yeah.
of give me a clue so that way I can make my game prediction because I don't have it as of right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something where I get the under here, but I'm going with the Seahawks here, and I think they're gonna cover the 2.5. So give me the Seahawks minus 2.5, and I'll go Seahawks 24, Rams like I don't want to. Well, I guess it's 44.5, right? So I won't get a push. So give me the Rams 20. So 24-24 Seahawks. That'll be 44 points, and get the under too.
Listening to you talk now, I'm thinking, okay, so if Matthew Stafford is healthy and they're coming off the bye week, I trusted McVay last time with against the Packers, thinking, hey, he's gonna outcoach Matt LaFleur, and I think I'm gonna roll the dice here, Gilbert, and take a risk with McVay on a bye, and the Seahawks coming in at home. They need to show out. I'm gonna say they win 20-17, and I'll take the under as well. Um, I just think like, I have no feel for this game at all. I'm being completely honest. The Seahawks haven't been impressive. We saw what the we saw the two games last season, even with backup guys. The Rams almost beat the Seahawks twice last season. This season, with a healthy Matthew Stafford, they went up to Seattle and beat them. I just think that for whatever reason, the Rams match up well against Pete Carroll and the Seahawks team, and I think it'll be close, and I think they win it on a field goal. And so I'm gonna roll with the Rams. That's how I feel about it.
You know what's funny? I was more confident in the Packers beating the Rams on the road than I do the Seahawks beating the Rams at home. So everything you just laid out, like I definitely could see that. Like they know each other well. They beat them in week one. Stafford's gonna play, but I keep going back to the Kyron Williams factor. You lose kind of that toughness and I don't know. It just the Seahawks have a lot more talent too. Like, you're about to play the 49ers in a week. Like you're about to get to the playoff stretcher. You better pick it up. You better wake up. So maybe I'm giving the Seahawks that kind of like, okay, they're gonna wake up here after they got beat up by the Rams. They can't forget that beatdown, right? So maybe they'll be a little more motivated. But I'm not actually. It's weird that I'm not that confident in this pick here. So it was kind of hard to do. Like the last couple of weeks, like it was easy for me to make the Cowboys pick and the Packers, but this one, they know each other very well. I would not be surprised if you're right on this one.
Yeah, and they're coming off a bye too. And then, I mean, the Seahawks. I understand that they're coming in for a revenge game, but at the same time, like we saw just in Week 10, maybe the Bengals and the Ravens were looking ahead to their matchup, and that was the reason why they lost.
Yeah.
maybe the Seahawks are looking ahead to those two 49er matchups they got there, and that happens a lot too, and it'll be interesting. Like I'm not trying to be a homer for the Rams here, but just going off of that, I just think that's the way it's looking right now. We'll have to see how Matt. We're recording on a Tuesday, so we're giving you guys our picks as of Tuesday. Things might change with Matthew Stafford by Thursday, and it'll that 2.5 points might change. So,
Yeah, that's
but as
true.
of Tuesday, as we're on live right now, those are our picks.
Yeah, no, definitely. I forget that we're doing this early, so it'll be interesting to see where the money's coming in. Are people gonna stay away or fall for the trap? So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, so that takes care of our preview episode of Rams and Seahawks, our second matchup of the season. I can't believe we're in week 11 and these teams are done facing each other. That's one of the things about this. I guess this new 17 game schedule is you never know, like we just talked about the Seahawks and 49ers haven't faced each other and we're already in week 11, and the Rams and Seahawks are going to be done after this week. So that's all I have for you, Gilbert, here from Oklahoma. uh Tell us what people can check out while you're in Oklahoma if they want to check out your stories at Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, I've been on this condensed schedule because I'm trying to get Thursday off too as well. So yeah, a bunch of stories right now up at side.com. While the cat's trying to jump into the shot here. But yeah, always check out my stories. If you see something pops up that's mine, I have my winners and losers column that usually goes up on Tuesday morning. I had the Lions as big winners because that Russian attack was pretty dominant against the Chargers, but then again it was the Chargers defense, so maybe I'm giving them too much credit there. But check that out every Tuesday, and then anytime you see my story, just click on my byline, and all my stories will pop up. And it's kind of a lot to keep track of, but it'll be much appreciated you read my work. And also you can support the channel here. Subscribe to House of Horns because we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Yes. Yes. Hey Gilbert, are you going to the this game on Sunday?
No, I passed because I feel like I'm gonna be too tired from the Oklahoma trip. So I wanted to go because it's an intriguing game, but I'm like, nah, I know myself. I'm gonna be too tired. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, but we'll be on. I'll be on after the game. I can't wait to talk about this matchup post game. So make sure you join me. We'll be on live just like this, like how we usually do it. We'll see if we can squeeze in Gilbert. He's got the Sunday night football game to cover. So if we can get him in between the post game, the Rams finishing up, and then the Sunday night game. We'll get him on. We've gotten lucky the last few weeks that he's been able to join us. So hopefully we can get. I think it's like this would be four in a row for you, Gilbert. So
Yeah,
hopefully it works out where we can get you on there right after
yeah.
the right after the game.
The 1 p.m. window to the Sunday Night Football window is much easier than the 10 a.m. window to the afternoon schedule. Those have been hard, but so is it looking likely like I'll be ready to go for this weekend?
Yeah, and hopefully my Wi-Fi holds up. So
Yeah, it wasn't that bad right now. I know it
yeah,
was kind of like uneasy in the first part of the live here, but it's been good so
yeah.
far. Holding up.
Yeah, there we go. But that's all I have for you guys. I'm excited about getting married on Friday, so I'll give you guys a full report as well from
Yeah.
my wedding on Friday, and we'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll do a deeper dive on the preview for the next for week 12.
Yeah, don't forget to comment if you're watching the replay. Comment with the keyword to the Puka and Quail jersey giveaway. And yes, maybe we'll get a picture from Victor to post somewhere here so you guys go check it out from the
Yes,
wedding. But I'm ready to go, Victor, because I got to catch a plane in the morning, and you
yes,
got to get pretty much off the clock, so you get all about 24/7 about the
yep.
wedding.
Yeah, I got the next 48 hours are just where I'm in wedding mode. So yes, let's go ahead and close up shop, Gilbert, so we can get this started.
Yeah, it's on to Oklahoma. The Rams have the Seahawks at home, but we're on a road trip this week and a big event and the wedding. But on that note, ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.